Lots of volatility in the stock market this week as we had Kevin Warsh holding his first press conference and FOMC as Fed chair. Also had the BOJ hiking rates, some interest rate movements here. And markets ultimately are higher on the week. You can see on the weekly chart of the S&P here. We did have a up week. No new all-time high though for the first time in a while. So you can see here, ever since the rally started, we made a new all-time high basically every week, with the exception of that first red. But even during that first red, we made a new all-time high. The triple Qs, you could say the same thing. However, the Russell did. So we have the IWM and the Dow kind of leading the way a little bit. We still had some leadership in memory stocks. You can see SanDisk, up 10% here today. Micron still up. Look at WDC continuing up here. A little bit of a reversal there. So momentum leaders still up, and of course SpaceX. Just 5 days into this now, so not much to go off of the charts here, but it has pulled back a little bit, and a lot of, I believe, some of the weakness this week in the indexes specifically, I believe, has kind of come from SpaceX, and that might sound odd, but it has sucked a lot of capital out from what I can see, and the ETFs like SPY, QQQ, etc. cannot buy it yet. However, JEPI, GPIQ, GPIX, the covered call ETFs are allowed to buy it. And they sell calls against it too. But the main indexes cannot. And I think, like Microsoft has still been taking hits here. You're seeing a lot of just weakness in some of the, you can just look at the mags here. It was kind of soft this week, right? SMH still at a new all-time high and a new weekly all-time closing high. And the Qs are not far off, but I do think some of that has been sucked out by SpaceX. But kind of the big story this week here, if you're a little behind here, was, well, I'll just start with the BOJ hiking. It was a 25 basis point hike up to 1%, which was totally baked into the cake. So a lot of people were concerned about the dollar yen. And, I can just show you the intraday here. Right here, this is where they hiked. And that was basically the low, and we just kind of went higher, and the dollar yen is broken out. Now, it's important to understand a couple of things. This going higher actually makes the carry trade more attractive. The implication, however, it's like a seesaw effect. The implication is that, though, if this goes too high, Japan has to defend their currency. And we have, in Japan, there's a dovish administration, so they seem to have a little bit higher pain tolerance. So this going higher doesn't necessarily mean liquidity is going to come out of the market. If they act sharply, though, and it comes down, then that would bring liquidity out of the market. Furthermore, right now, this breakout has less to do with the yen and more to do with the dollar, okay, from what I can see. The dollar had a nice move yesterday, and it's following through today with a weekly. We're about to set, depending on where this closes, it looks like we're about to set a new, I'm doing this about, it's almost 1 o'clock here in the afternoon, but it looks like we're about to set a new weekly closing high going back to, basically over a year ago on the DXY. Granted, we've been in a range the whole time. It's not like this is a, massive move, but it could be breaking out of this base. Why is that happening? Well, let's just go to the bullet points here from Warsh. And really it's, it comes down to, there we go. Essentially, he had like a hawkish press conference. We'll just say he had a hawkish press conference, right? This is my take on it. They really want to restore credibility to the Fed. And again, that doesn't mean that he won't just do a 180 at some point. But right now, that's the image. You have Warsh, who is basically penned as Trump's puppet, right? And I believe that him and Trump kind of figured this out, and he has to look strong, right? He cannot look like a doormat in his first policy statement. So he's very hawkish. I do agree with this first point though a lot, and the first two really. Get rid of all these Fed speakers every week. They serve nothing. Years ago, if a Fed head came out at any time and said anything, it was like the market would freak out. And now they speak every day almost, and it's like a nothing burger. So I do agree with getting rid of that. I think that will increase volatility, though. Powell has been very good about like telegraphing what he's going to do, so the market can price things in. But it was a, it was a hawkish press conference. They held rates steady, but you can see here the 2-year yield that held up, or it's just sorry, it not only held up, but it's holding this breakout. And you see the bear flattener, right? So the 30-year coming down, right? So long-term rates are holding up well. Short-term, long-term bond prices holding up well. The yield coming down, and then the 2-year here, prices going down, yield up. I will say this: 3-month was not up a ton, so that immediate short end, and there's your 1 month. That immediate short end is still kind of flat there. So I think as long as that's the case, fiscal dominance will still be a thing. But you did see like 10s and 30s, 5s and 30s get hit pretty good. 3-month and 10-year, or sorry, 2s and 10s get hit. 3-month, 10-year didn't move that much. So right now, the market is now pricing in. Or flip back over here. At least 2 rate hikes by end of Q1 of next year. Now, granted, this is the Fed funds futures; they are wrong all the time, but that's the narrative right now, and it's just important that I think everybody understands that. As far as the S&P, we got a squeeze like we kind of figured would happen this week off the peace deal. I'm sure everybody's aware of that. I don't need to recap that. And we had a little bit of a sell day on the FOMC and a rebound today. I think we'll still see some chop here. Below 7,400, could see some more downside, maybe retest the low or at least the 50 moving average. But outside of that, the market's hanging in there and it's trying to digest this big move. Triple Qs are in a better position. You're well above the moving averages. And like I said, SMH is making a new all-time high, so I'm not going to get bearish or anything while that's happening. Russell 2000 also holding up really well. And again, that's a new weekly all-time closing high on small caps, so that's risk appetite. Diamond here. Up a third of a percent today and flirting with a new all-time weekly close. Or sorry, that is a new weekly all-time closing high. Yep. So no new highs, no new closing highs on the Qs or the S&P, but we have it on the Dow and the Russell. We mentioned SMH. IGV still having trouble here, but it looks like it's trying to hold on to that 89 handle we talked about. I do think end of quarter starts to turn this around a little bit. Transports took a little hit yesterday, but ultimately, they're holding up pretty well. And I talked about it last week, they had a new all-time closing high last week. So backing off today, pretty good reversal candle. I definitely some supply up here. Anyway, TLT, I mentioned that with interest rates up 45 cents today. That hit our target. We've been talking about 87 ever since the low. Everybody got bearish and was looking for yields to go up to 6% here. And, I went long TMF with my members here, which is 3x long the long end of the bonds. And we hit our target this morning. So very nice gain there. Right now, it's interesting because the long end is kind of pushing oil prices down, which we'll talk in a second. But I don't think the alpha is really there anymore. But, TLT, nice move. XHB, nice. We've actually had a nice gain on Nail this week. So that's a home builder ETF. And that is trying to break out here. IYR got hit yesterday. I told you guys in the video, I knew this was going to fade this week. A lot of the time when you have something tries to break out of a base that's been this, it's been this like 2 years in the making. A lot of the time that first one will get faded. And it'll have to stop everybody out and then kind of, it kind of breaks out later. But I still like REITs here. XLF broke out. We took some gains on FAS this week. So really nice gains in the services this week. And a reversal today. So right up into resistance, you can see the 786 fib. We'll see if this pulls back to the 200 and we'll evaluate it from there. KRE dipped to the 20 moving average on the FOMC and getting a bounce today. Broker dealers new all-time highs there, so they're continuing to kill it. I mean, Goldman, Morgan Stanley up nicely. I know a lot of people are looking at Robinhood, nice little curl up there. SoFi looking pretty good too. But anyway, what do we got here? Oil, yeah. So oil. The narrative's starting to change a little bit. more to, oh, bonds are bidding, TLT's bidding, so oil's down here. I'm starting to see less alpha in bonds because of that, but more importantly, you guys will know I was a little cautious about oil, so be careful here. It's got lower highs and we're getting bullish news, right? So that's not good, right? If it can't rally on bullish news. And we did get our breakdown this week. However, it's my opinion here, and full disclosure, I'm long oil now. It's now priced for a surprise. There's no alpha. Like the peace deal is signed. We're into this pivot here, and another thing that a lot of people are forgetting, the global SPRs have to be refilled. So I think there's higher floors here, number one. Number two, just from a technical setup, you got an RSI daily oversold, you're sweeping this low, 4 hour on the futures, starting to put in a divergence, very nice, hourly as well. They're starting to see some seller exhaustion here. And I think, I don't know if Israel bombs Lebanon over the weekend. Who knows? Maybe this pops up to 80. I think right now it also makes sense. I'm just going to flip over to TV here so you can just draw easier. I like the tool better. But we got the 4th of July coming up, right? So this is where I'm going to talk about politics. Okay, given that technical setup I just showed you, if the administration tries to bury this next week, the likely outcome into the 4th is a squeeze, right? It's only going to get so oversold before shorts are going to cover, right? But do you think the admin wants a V-shaped squeeze into that, or do you think they want to bounce here, retest 85, then they can jawbone it down into the 4th of July week? I'm going to bet on the latter. So I think at worst, I think at most, this has to retest, and you can see these long-term areas here of support. This is going to want to test, 80 to 85 or so before any sort of down leg. Maybe it gaps down Monday, but that would be, I think, a buying opportunity to me. So anyway, yeah, XLE, that broke down here. That's in the double bottom. I think kind of the same kind of deal there, with oil. So I think, we'll see kind of a similar price action. However, OIH may have topped out. We'll see what happens here, but that, you got that weekly outside move and it's closing below that weekly breakup bar here. So you got an M and then a possible A there. It may have some support around 365, but after that it's down to the 200. So I'd be careful with be careful with oil services. Dollar index holding up. We'll see what it does next week. Maybe it retests 100. And that's put pressure on gold and silver. We did get our nice sweep. We talked about it on Friday. And this was a long setup for this week. It is pulling back off of 4,400 though. There is room. I will just say this. The dollar is up, but there is room for a higher low here. Everybody's really worried about gold and silver right now. I'm not so much. This is just simple stuff here. You don't need to be a technician. Is the dollar index making a higher high or not? The answer is yes. Is gold making a lower low yet? The answer is no. Right, so there's actually a positive divergence there, and the same goes for silver. That doesn't mean it can't happen, right? But there is space for a higher low here, especially if there's a surprise over the weekend. Platinum and palladium are a little softer. I don't like them as much. Palladium rejecting 1800. Platinum rejecting 1800, and then palladium didn't even quite get to 1400. But again, there's a room for a higher low here. So I know it looks weak, but what if it just does this, right? Everybody's so worried right now about these, but what if it just, by the way, you got an OPEX today, end of quarter. What if it just dips Monday and then just does that, right? So let's not get too excited here. But spade's a spade. But anyway, copper flat today, still very strong on the charts. And speaking of worried, everybody's worried about crypto here. Last I checked, fear greed index on this was like 15. It did lose that support at 64.4. That's Bitcoin, obviously. But again, there's still room for a higher low here. And again, to me, for any sort of bear move to resume, I think this needs to go. I mean, you got a massive divergence here on the weekly. I think it needs to at least retest 69, maybe 73. That's just me personally. but it's down. We'll we'll respect it. So anyway, with that said, should be interesting. A lot going on here as we get closer to end of quarter. I would just say keep an eye on semis, keep an eye on those Momo leaders. As long as that's holding up, as long as the Russell and the Nasdaq and the semis are leading, I can't really get too bearish. I could see a little bit more chop, maybe some more testing of the lows next week, but I don't really see anything crazy just yet. So, anyways, guys, we'll wrap it up here. You guys take care. Have a great 3-day weekend. Don't forget to find Jason on Patreon and me on carnivoretrades.com. We'll see you guys all next week.